Welcome to Life with the Hortons. I'm Brittany.
I'm Payton.
Today we're going to talk about when Payton first got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. She was 5, so she doesn't really remember a whole lot about it. But as a mom, and from my perspective, I think it could be a little bit reassuring for other moms to know that you're not alone. So, when she got diagnosed, she was 5 years old. We had been going rough patch, I guess you would say. We were down to one car. I was having to bring Cole to the fire station and do a second job, so we were waking up a lot earlier than normal. So we just hung out on the couch watching movies and, nothing out of the ordinary. Sunday morning, she woke up, and the only way I can explain the way that she looked when she came into my room was, in the Christmas Story, when the Christmas present guy, the big happy jolly guy, when he opens his robe and those two kids are like, ah. So that's what she looked like. Pale, almost gray. She had no water weight. You could see all of her bones and stuff, but she didn't look like that the day before. That was what was crazy. And I want to say the night before, she kept getting up and going to the bathroom. This is the only time we ever noticed it. She kept getting up and going to the bathroom, and we thought it's because she didn't want to go to sleep. Because, that's not uncommon for a 5-year-old to keep getting out of bed. So anyways, I finished getting ready. I was a worship leader at the time at our church. And we headed to church. I kept trying to get her to eat, and she didn't really want to eat. And I was like trying to force feed donuts to her, and she still didn't even want to eat that.
I can't believe I didn't want to eat donuts.
It was weird. And you couldn't open your eyes. And odd. And she definitely wasn't her normal self. She wasn't jumping around and playing and the life of the party and goofing off or any of that. Cole, he's like, she's probably just dehydrated. We're going to call the pediatrician in the morning. And it nothing against him, because it really wasn't that. It's just the way that our insurance says it costs so much to go to the ER. Like, unless you know there's an emergency, you try to avoid it. And so we were just going to wait until Monday morning. And we decided we were just going to go ahead and go home, because obviously she was really tired. And my dad picked her up to tell her goodbye and could smell the ketoacidosis on her breath. Ketoacidosis has a very sweet smell. He's like, something's going on with her chemicals in her body. You need to bring her to go get checked. So, still trying to avoid the ER, we went to one of the fire stations to see one of our friends who's a paramedic. And he was like, I'm sure it's nothing. You don't want to bring her to the ER because they're going to do all kinds of blood work and stuff, and it's just going to be a thing. So he poked her finger, and it just read high. So if you've been in this particular experience in your life, you know that is not a good sign. I had no idea what diabetes was, so I still didn't even know what we were checking for, or at least type 1 diabetes. I didn't know what we were checking for. So Colt immediately was like, let's go to the hospital. So we go to the hospital. Before we can even fill out the paperwork, they had us in the back. My guess is because she was a kid. And he's like, you don't feel good. I'm okay though. And just like the sweetest little patient. And so they did all of their stuff. The doctor was in and out talking to us. He's like, you know what this probably is? And of course my husband's like, yes. I'm like, no, I don't have no idea what's going on right now. Well, he leaves the room. And at this point, my parents are there, and we're all sitting in this room. He comes in, and he tells everybody to be quiet. And you could tell something was wrong because of the way that he said it. And her blood work came back, and her sugar, her glucose level, was 1,017. So he tells us we probably saved her life, because there's no way she would have woken up if she had gone to sleep. And after all the horror stories that I read about once I figured out what was going on, I realized how close to losing her we actually were. If my dad hadn't picked her up, she wouldn't be here with us. She probably would not have made it through the night. So that is really terrifying. She had to fast for more blood work, and already had not eaten hardly anything that day, so she was not happy. And then she finally got to eat. And our nurse, who was so sweet, she was also a type 1 diabetic, and she was giving me, some information and stuff. And she brought Peyton her breakfast and all. And then we got fussed at by another nurse because Peyton had juice. We didn't know she couldn't have juice. Like, don't fuss at us. This has been the worst experience of our life. Like, we have no idea. Like, we can't take in all of that information in just 8 hours. Like, the worst part about the whole thing is we weren't getting diabetes education while we were in there because they could not get a pen for us to be able to give Peyton insulin because the pen that we needed that our insurance covered, because this is how stupid insurance is, the only pen our insurance covered, the half unit pen was recalled that day. So it took them 3 days to find us a pen. So in those 3 days in the hospital, the nurses were doing everything. So on the day that we were released, when they finally found a sample pen and they got a sample insulin and everything to go with it until they could figure out something else so that we could get home, that was the day that they told me how to do the math for the carbs and for the corrections and everything else. We went home scared to death. I could not wait to wake up the next morning so that I could call the nurse to do the check-in so that she could tell me what to do for the rest of her food because I had no idea. I didn't know what I was doing. It was very stressful. So the day that we got discharged was the day I gave her her first shot, the day that I learned how to do everything. It was stressful. Is there anything that you want to add? Because I know you don't really remember it because you were 5.
The pancakes were delicious.
She did. She liked the pancakes and she liked the spaghetti. Oh, and if your kid decides that they don't want to eat because they don't want to get shots, that's normal too. She did it. I was in tears because she's all happy and smiling and she's like, I'm not going to eat today. It's like, oh, baby, you have to get shots whether you eat or not. So you might as well just eat. And it was so sad. I love my baby so much. I hated to see her go through all of that. But she's stronger. She's better for it. But we decided we were going to do these videos and drink coffee in the mornings together. And she can't drink coffee today because our sugar's too high.
It was 167.
Yeah, she can't drink coffee if it's above 130 because...
Sadly.
So, if you are feeling overwhelmed and stressed out, it's normal because you're watching your kid go through one of the toughest things you'll ever see them go through. But it will get better. And the doctors and the nurses and everybody are going to tell you that your kid's going to be able to still do anything they want to do and live a normal life. And you're not going to believe them because you want to put them in a bubble. But it will get better and they will be able to live a normal life. You'll also have people who mean well, but are going to say, oh, she has type 1 diabetes. I know someone who has type 1 diabetes and they've already had to have a triple bypass. Or I know somebody that has diabetes and they're on dialysis. I know somebody. They mean well. You're going to just have to have a little grace for those people because they don't know. They really don't know. So I think we need to normalize type 1 diabetes because people just really don't understand the difference between type 1 and type 2, if they even know what type 1 is. Right? You have to do a lot of explaining.
Everyone thinks that I got type 1 diabetes because I ate too much candy. It's not true.
Not true. We don't eat that much candy in this house.
Exactly.
If you want, you can follow us on our webpage at lifewiththehortons.com. And that's where I'll have most of our recipes. I'll also have them uploaded on Pinterest. And we have an Instagram and a Facebook that we're trying to just put stuff about our family on there because we're goofy little people. But anyways, we love you guys. And we hope that anything that we share with you will help you and give you comfort at least. And if there's anything that you want us to talk about specifically because you want to know, just send us a message and we'll be happy to make a video for you. But until then, we love y'all and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.